What's going on, YouTube? How are you doing? Welcome to another First Look Friday, and this one is going to be a special one. This one is going to be a First Look Friday that we're probably going to see carry on into many videos covering a lot of stuff, because this one is about Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen. And that's some good coffee right there. Now, why does this matter? Because this game is vaporware. It's never coming out. This is a scam. They're taking you for a ride with their supporter packs. It's just never going to happen. At least that's what most people on the internet would have you believe. The truth of the matter is, this is a fantastic game that has had a really crazy dev cycle, as most crowdfunded MMOs have. It's in a phenomenal spot, ready to go into what they're calling early access. I'm not sure that's the right title for it, but what I'm going to call it is a lot more mass access to the game. And I have been playing this game as a VIP backer for quite some time. And I've watched it go through many iterations, and the game is absolutely the best place that it's ever been in. So we're going to step into it right now. We're going to look at the game from the very beginning, and you can expect to start seeing a lot of content about this game coming out on the channel. This is what I've been streaming almost every night, very faithfully lately. So we've got a few servers we can log into. And what you need to understand is that right now, where the game sits, it is in a stage where if you purchase a supporter pack, I think the cheapest one is $50, you gain access to this current testing cycle. You gain access to the early access that begins in December, and you get a copy of the game when the game goes live. So you're basically just purchasing your game early. But there's more! You also get a buddy key that grants a friend access to all the same things. Okay? So we're gonna step into the game. We're gonna look around at the basics of beginning the game, and then I might switch to another character that's a little more further progressed. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and log into Broken Mall. One of the things that I will say about the server selection is it doesn't matter what server you start your character on. As of right now, this will change later, but as of right now, your characters can be played on any server at any time. Okay, so Broken Mall is where we're gonna go. Let's get logged in. Now, I have, as my highest level currently, a level 22 enchanter. But we're going to look at a level 1 enchanter. We're going to create our first character, okay? And as you can see right here, you get a lot of character slots to play with. Now, because we are in a testing phase, it should be noted that not all races, classes exist yet. The current races available are human, elf, halfling, and darkmere. For the upcoming early access, I believe gnomes are going to be available again. Dwarves might be available, and ogres might be available. I don't know for sure that they will be, but I know that they are being heavily worked on by the game developers right now. And you can actually go and interact with these developers on a weekly, multiple times a week via their live streams. They will answer any questions you want to ask. They're very open about the development, the direction of the game, and they are very communicative with the community, and it's fantastic. But let's look at creating a character real quick. So races are human, elf, halfling, and darkmere. Classes are warrior. This is a tank. Monk. This is a DPS who also fulfills the role of being able to pull enemies to the group later on down the road. Cleric. This is a priest, a healer. Rogue. This is a melee physical damage, just like a monk, but they also get to stealth and sneak around. Wizard. This is a caster DPS, one of the highest DPS classes in the game, similar to a rogue, but in caster format. And enchanter, this is what we're going to be making. This is a support class. This class handles crowd control, mesmerizes, gives buffs to the groups, debuffs enemies, does a minor amount of damage. Shaman, this is another priest. Lots of heals over time, lots of damage over time, lots of buffs, very solid priest. They get a pet, very popular class. Rangers are a physical, ranged, and melee class. They also get the ability to track enemies, and they get the ability to wear chain armor. Paladins are another tank class. Right now, these guys are extremely strong, very defensive. They boost healing to the group. They bring a grip. They're just an all-around very solid tank choice. Dire Lord is the third tank in the game at the moment. These guys are very similar to, say, Shadow Knights from EverQuest. They get life drains, and they're a very offensive-based tank. Dual wielding, things like that, whereas a paladin's sword and board. Warriors will end up getting banners later, but they're not currently in the game. Summoners are a pet class in which they summon multiple elementals. In the beginning, you get one. As you go on, you get multiples. You get a tank elemental, a DPS elemental. Eventually, you even get a healing elemental. They also summon weapons and gear for these, and then they are able to do caster DPS. Their DPS from their spells is not quite as strong as a wizard, but they also get the pets, and that makes them very strong. Necromancers are another pet class, and they fulfill a plethora of roles. They do get very strong dots, but they're also able to cast mezzas, they're able to heal, they're able to funnel mana, they're able to do just a lot of variety of skills as a necro. And some of these classes are very good at soloing, but the game is very much considered a social MMO built around grouping. So when you're making your class decisions, keep that in mind. You're not going to solo your way necessarily in a matter of a few days to the highest levels. The game really is tailored to social aspects and grouping. So we're going to make an enchanter, and you can read the description about your your race and your class right down here. There's also some information about it over on the Pantheon website. As far as I'm aware, the racial bonuses are still active. You can choose between being a female and a male. There are no character customizations in the game yet, but I believe some of those are coming in the next patch. When you choose a race and a class, you get 2 points to assign to a attribute of your choice. Each attribute does different things. So for example, strength increases damage of some melee attacks and increases max carry weight. Certain attributes are more important for certain classes. For example, as an enchanter, the most important stats are your wisdom and your intellect. And if you push this button right here, you'll notice my intellect is 7 and my charisma, it's intellect and charisma that are big for enchanters, is 6. The 2 points will get assigned into intellect. Okay, what does intellect do? Increases your spell crit, increases your max mana for arcane casters. We're an arcane caster. Charisma reduces vendor prices and increases the reputation rate gains that you get as you kill things. So we'll go ahead and make this character. JD First Look Friday. All right, let's create this character. And we're going to go in game and we're going to get a look at what's going on. So we've got a level 1 enchanter in Throne Fast. Let's go. All right, so when you first log into the game as a caster, now keep in mind every class you make will start somewhere different. Casters, which are enchanters, you can see the enchanter scrolls over here, wizards, necromancers, and summoners currently, all will start out here at the mage tower, okay? And this is a pretty typical MMO looking UI. Now, some things are movable and some things you're not going to see right off the bat. So for example, you're probably not going to see this macro screen right off the bat. Your HP panel might be somewhere like up here. Your defensive target panel might be, I don't know, down here. And your offensive target panel might be down here. Okay, any one of these things is draggable. These are target frames. So, as I said, this blue frame is a defensive target. If I had someone in my group, I could keep them targeted while also targeting other things. So right now, Zazen is a defensive target, but I'm still targeting Huafa as my offensive target. Okay, now if we come down here and we look, we've got some spell bars. We can drag these bars. If you click on the A+1, which is that's telling you what the hotkey is, you can move this bar around. So why do I have a bar of 4, a bar of 6, and a bar of 9? Because this bar represents a certain type of skill. This bar represents techniques. The second bar represents utility. And the third bar, the main bar, represents ability. Okay? You've got your typical MMO chat box right here. You've got a list of options and other menus you can open right up here. You can hit escape to expand that if you want. Or you can just click this. You've got a compass. And then you've got a combat log over here. We'll talk about the combat log in just a minute. You can create new chat tabs if you would like, but you have a main chat. What are the other screens? Let's take a look. So settings is under this cog. You can adjust general settings, audio settings, graphical settings, input, and other. You've got a character sheet. This lets you know all kinds of information about your character. Here is your equipment. Here are your attributes. Here are your current melee stats. If you click right here, defensive stats. If you click right here, range stats. And if you click right here, spell stats. At the top, we'll see our HP, our MP, our endurance, our XP to level, and mastery. Mastery is not currently active. It will come back later. We'll talk about that later. Acclimation is a very important system in this game. It basically allows you to go into extreme weather environments, but requires you do get certain items to do that. We're not going to cover that too much right now in this very first hour of play. And then off to the side, you will see a list of adventuring skills, everything from climbing to sprinting, throwing, corruption, crushing, daggers, defense, innervation, evocation, all kinds of stuff. Okay, we have some inventory slots right here. There are 10 of them. And then we have bag slots right here, which allow us to expand our inventory based on the size of the bag. Now, in my inventory currently, I've got some bread and water. And that's because in this game, hunger and thirst are a real thing. If your meter drops to empty on hunger, you will stop regenerating health. If your meter drops to empty on thirst, you will stop regenerating mana. And I do believe that if your hunger is completely gone, I haven't checked this in a long time, you will actually start to lose health down to, I think, 1 health, and you'll stay there until you eat some food. So all you got to do is right click to eat some bread or right click to drink some water to fill these back up. It's very simple, but you want to keep food and water on you. Now, what else is in my inventory? Well, we've got some scrolls. This one is a scroll of cranial pressure. I think every class right now will have some form of an ability available to them. Now, on my bar, I already have brain shock as an enchanter technique. You're thinking about making their brain explode, but it hasn't worked yet. This is going to cost me nothing. It has a 30-meter range and an 8-second cooldown. If I look at this scroll, it says, hey, this applies intense pressure to an enemy's brain, dealing magic damage over time. So this is a damage over time. If I right-click this, it will scribe it. So I'm learning the ability scroll. This can also be moved, by the way, this bar, as can these notifications. So new ability learned, cranial pressure. Okay, we've also got flux. Infiltrate the target's mind with chaotic energy, dealing magic damage. And then we've got fixate. Mesmerize a target for up to 9 seconds, preventing it from taking any actions. Damage and various offensive abilities will break the effect. Mesmerize effect cannot be resisted when cast on disoriented targets. Chance to be resisted decreases with charisma. So my charisma directly affects how often this spell happens to get resisted. That's important to note. So let's go ahead and learn that right quick. And then last thing we have is a mysterious letter. If we right click this, we'll read a little bit of flavor text. You do not know me, but I have an opportunity for you. Find me near the well in the center of the village of Avelia, and I will explain more until we meet the scavenger. This is your first quest, and there's a lot going on here, but we'll talk about it a bit later. Trade skills, a mysterious letter, accept. So how do I see what quests I have? Well, if you hit J, it will open a journal, and it will tell you here's a quest in Thronefast, and it will give you all the details that little letter just gave. Now, that's the basics of the UI. There's more to the UI. You can take your bags, you can drag them around. I'm going to put this bag down here. I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to click lock. The default key for opening all bags is O. I have rebound mine to B, but I can do this and open my bags. I have my character sheet on I. This can be drug. You can take certain screens and scale them. So if that's too big, you want it out of the way, you can do this. It's up to you where you leave it sitting. I'm going to set mine at about 85, and I'm going to click save for now. The show frame is not quite working the way I think it should, and mouse over darken, lock position, all that good stuff, okay? You can make it more opaque or less opaque. All right, so save that. We're done. Let's take off. All right, so I've got an enchanted scroll person, but wait, I just learned scrolls. Where are the spells? So the next thing we want to do is we want to open our codex. Now, this says that it's set to B. I rebound mine to K because that's what I'm used to. K opens my spell book. And here I can see here are my spells. So there's Brain Shock, and it tells you right there, Enchanter Technique. The next one says, does it say Technique? That's because this is an ability. The way we put these on our bar is we right-click them, and they will automatically go to our bar. But I don't like the order they're in, okay? So swap them. You just click and drag to swap abilities to the position that you want them to be in. Okay? So we've got a couple of abilities. Now we'll see that Flux costs 6 mana, takes 1 second to cast, has a 3-second cooldown, it uses the skill Evocation. Great. All right, so where are all my quests in this MMO? There are quests, but there are no punctuation symbols to indicate quests. Well, where's the map? There's no map. You have to learn your way around. It has been commented that there might be player-made maps in the game at some point, but as of right now, there is no Codex Atlas where you press M and you see a map of everything, and that is intended. You are meant to depend upon other people and learn your way around this world, and that's an important thing to take note of. So we've got an Arcane Watcher, Roz, here. Now, if I mouse over him right now, there's a question mark. That's because I've never interacted with this NPC yet. Okay, if I right-click, oh, look. Go boldly but carefully. The bridge is stronger than a conjuration, but without handrails, I'm afraid. he has an available task for me, the Leaning Tower. Is it just me or is the tower leaning? My eyes aren't what they used to be. Do me a favor. See those 2 large boulders up on the cliff behind me? Let's look. Oh, I see them right here and here. Okay. Why don't you run up there and check to see if the tower looks straight? I suggest using the tunnel behind us to make your way up. Then be careful. Lots of danger up there. This quest is going to reward 500 experience and 75 copper. Okay, we'll do it. Now I'm going to tell you right now, if you are a quest grinder in MMOs and that's your thing and you like to get on the quest train and ride the quest train to the end, this ain't going to do that for you. I'm also going to tell you that if you're the type of player that likes to pick up quests and just run and go do it and you're never going to read it and you don't know what's going on and you don't care why, you're just going to go to the next POI, this ain't going to do it. It doesn't work that way. This game is meant to make you slow down, read the quest, immerse yourself in the world, figure out where things are, take your time, okay? And it's fantastic. All right, let's see. Does Elowen have anything for me? Let's talk to her. She doesn't, but you'll notice that my mouse is no longer a question mark because I have spoken to her. Maybe she'll be important later. I don't care much for the travel between wherever this is and these parts, but there is no finer fabric to be found. Okay, so this person likes to do something with cloth. We'll keep that in mind. All right, this person is just a guard. That one doesn't have a question. Oh, we got a vendor right here. Okay, so we can sell things to this person. We can buy things from this person. All right, sounds good. And then we've got the summoner spell vendor. All right, so let's go run into this tunnel that we were sent to right here. And let's go see if there's anything going on in here. Now we've got some small flittering bat wings. Bats. We can hit tab to target. We can click to target, but we can see our target frame is right there. I'm going to hold shift, and this is going to allow me to sprint. Sprinting uses endurance. Okay, it drains. There's a sorceress in here. Now the other thing that uses stamina is if we start climbing. Climbing is a skill in this game. It's an important skill. There are items placed in the world, good items that you're going to want that are hidden in various places that you're going to need to look around for and find. Think of it like blowing up a wall in The Legend of Zelda and going and finding a secret treasure behind it. The same thing exists here. So this guy's got a question mark. Let's talk to him right quick. All right, this is a merchant. Good. The sorcerer whispers softly, her gaze fixed on something beyond you. Introducing the sorceress. Greetings, young apprentice. So you want to study the art of magic, do you? In the wrong hands, magic can be a dangerous thing. I will need your assistance before I make my determinations. Go forth and slay me 5 sparking toads, as they are an example of magic in the wrong hands. 250 experience, 50 coins, and 10 reputation with this vendor. Okay, I'll accept. So this is your typical go out and slay me some boars or rats quest. Not a bad thing, especially with the way they're presenting it. So JD First Look Friday is heading up the ramp. We're going to go look from these boulders right quick and see what's going on out here. Let's get up here and do this. I'll bring you guys back when I get to the top. All right, so we're moving up. We've come around the corner. The cave is back there into this. We're going to run on up here. Now there's some wild herbs here. I'd like to harvest them, but I can't because I don't have the proper gathering tools equipped. But we're going to step up here between these 2 boulders. And we're going to look at the tower. All right. The Leaning Tower is now ready for turn-in. So this might be a thing that you want to put somewhere else more noticeable. I like it down there and out of the way, so that works for me. All right, so that quest is done. Great. Now the other quest that we have is to kill some spark toads. I know the spark toads happen to be around this pond. So there's a few ways that I can get there. I can go back down through the tunnel, or I can climb down. Right, so I can come right here. And by the way, fall damage is a thing in this game. Bam. Okay, but you can also climb down. Now we can attack any one of these mobs. Let's get into doing our first little bit of combat. So we've got an HP bar, we've got a mana bar, and we've got a readiness bar. Readiness is primarily for melee abilities. And what are we going to do about missing health? Well, we're going to sit down by pressing X, and we're going to go into a resting state. When we're in a resting state, we recover health and mana faster. Resting state is very important in this game, both in combat and out. So we have a sparking toad. I'm going to get ready to cast on it. First thing I'll do is I'll put up my nuke, my instant damage, and then I will follow that up with a dot. And so now this dot is active. Anything that has the yellow borders on it indicates that this is one of your spells that you are maintaining. We'll hit it with our technique right quick because that's free. We'll turn on our auto attack so that we're stabbing it, and then we'll nuke again. Each cast is costing me some mana, but you can see I'm winding down. If I do not do anything in combat for 3 seconds, once I start winding down, I will go into a resting state. Understand that your resting state in combat is not as effective as your resting state out of combat. Okay, so we've killed our first sparking toad. We can right click, we can loot. You can either loot each item individually, or you can just click the take all button. Now, if I had the appropriate tools, I could skin this body and get some leather off of this. This is important for trade skills in the game if you intend to do them. And trade skills are a big part of the game, or at least will be. So we're going to go ahead and continue killing toads, as that's what the sorceress wanted us to do. So I'm just going to wombo combo it with a dot and some nukes and then turn my attack on. And we'll hit it a lot with our technique. In the early game, your techniques are very important. And they stay kind of important. But this is free damage right here. This costs me no mana. Now, right now we've just been killing some toads. And I knew before I attacked them that these toads were easy to kill. How do we know if we can kill something? Well, when you target something, if you press the C key, you will do what is called conning. Otherwise, the exact term is you are considering this enemy. And if you look down here, it says Sparking Toad is indifferent to your presence. This would be an evenly matched fight. So this one has conned as white. But if we look over here, there's a forest forager. This little goblin-looking guy. He's walking through the woods. If I press C on him, it's going to say, the forest forager is indifferent to your presence. This opponent would pose a great challenge to you. He's a higher level than I am. White means that they're even. They're the same level as you. Yellow means they're a higher level. Orange means they're an even higher level. Red means they're considerably higher than you. They could be the max level in the game. They're probably going to kill you. If we go back to white, where they're even with you, below white is blue. You're a higher level than they are. Below blue is light blue. You're considerably higher than they are, but they still give experience. Then there's green. This is going to be a very easy enemy for you to kill. You're way higher than they are, and it's not going to give much experience. Then there's gray. This is a trivial enemy. You're not going to get anything from fighting them. You might just be killing them for loot, but you're not going to get any experience from it. So we're going to continue to kill toads, and as we kill toads, we'll see our experience bar down here has begun to fill up. This is how we level up in the game. Why is leveling up important? Well, leveling up is how you gain more skills, and more spells, more techniques in the game. So what do I mean when I say skills? Well, if we look right now, my skills, so for example, innervation, which comes from casting spells, is going up. But they're capped. They're capped based on our level. So let's scale this back up to 100 for a second. So right now they're capped at 6 across the board. As I go up levels, I get more skill. Getting more skill generally means, for example, more damage on a damage spell or a dot spell, less chances of being resisted. There's a few different things that the skills affect. And I don't know what their final implementation for that will be, because things are still shifting because we are in an alpha testing state. But let's go ahead and kill our Sparking Toad. I think this will be our 4th one, and we needed to kill 5. Let's check right quick. Introducing the Sorceress. Yes, we need to kill 5 here. So let's get this done. Oh, we're about to die. This is terrible. What's going to happen when we die? So when you die, first you go to a purple state. You are not dead yet. Any player could come and bandage you right now to keep you from dying. A heal cast on you would pick you back up. You could release right then and say, there's no one that's going to be able to save me. I'm just going to release. But if the monster continues to attack you when you are in a purple state, a bleeding state, you will fully die. So at this point, I have no health remaining. I'm no longer bleeding. I'm dead. My choices are to either be resurrected by a player or to release. When you click release, you will return to what is considered your bind point. I am bound to this spot. This is where I will always come back to for right now. Your bind point can be changed via certain monoliths. At this point in time, we are only level 1, so we don't have to worry too much about going back to get our body. But once we hit level 5, we will have to worry about going and looting our body. When you die beyond level 5, all bags, all inventory, and all money will be dropped. Currently, you will still keep your equipment, but you will have to retrieve everything else. All right, so we know some basics about combat now. We understand some basics about questing. I'm going to run over here. I'm going to turn this quest in, and I'm going to go finish up killing some toads. And then we're going to head off of the Wizard's Island, the Caster's Island, and we're going to go visit town for the first time. I'm going to wrap these quests up. That should get us our first level. I'll bring you guys back when we're about to level, so I'll see you guys in just a bit. All right, So we have completed our quest to kill toads. And so we're going to come up here, and this is going to level us up for the first time. So we'll go ahead and put this in here. Complete the quest. And there we go, level 2. Now, another set of quests has been offered. We have Arcane Study, in which we can go retrieve a sparking essence from a sparking toad, which means killing more frogs. We can do beetle infestation, and these are kill quests. These are to help us along in the early game. So during your first hour of play, if you're starting as a caster, this is probably things that you're going to want to do to help the initial levels get knocked out. Now, I'm going to say very explicitly, a big part of this game is based around grouping. And you can really start grouping right off the bat if you have friends to play with. But starting around level 3-ish, you can start doing different camps. Now, I'm going to leave. Actually, before I leave, we're going to take care of one other thing before we leave. So being that we're now level 2, that should unlock some spells for us. And this is something you're going to want to kind of constantly be aware of. What spells are available to me? What skills are available to me? What abilities are available to me? What are coming up? And in general, I would say it's a good idea to keep upcoming spells in your inventory ready to go. So if we come over here to the enchanter vendor and I press my I to bring up my inventory, I can see I've got some things to sell in here, right? And I can hit B to see, do I have anything in my bags? No, I don't, because I haven't looted that much. But let's say I have 1 silver and 25 copper. I want to sell this sparkstone. This sparkstone, if you notice, it says general right there. Whereas this frog meat says ingredient. This says reagent. This is general, and this is general. The items that are general, for the most part, there are a few exceptions, but for the most part, the items that are general, you can sell those to vendors without fear. There are a couple of exceptions to this, but that's way later in the game. Ingredients are, for the most part, used in cooking recipes. Okay, so keep that in mind. As far as reagents, these are mostly used in alchemy. Okay, there are other classifications as well, such as materials, but we'll talk about those as we come to it. So how do you sell things? Well, if you right-click it, it's not going to sell. If you read at the bottom, it says Alt plus right-click to sell. The reason that's done that way is there's no buyback. So be very certain about what you're Alt right-clicking on, because you're not going to get it back if you sell it. So pay attention. So now we're up to 1 gold, 90 copper. If we come over here, Flux, we already know that scroll, so we don't need to buy that one. Cranial pressure, same thing. Fixate, same thing. At level 2, we get Gavin's Wild Display. This is release a surge of chaotic mental energy all around you. That all around you is important. That means it's an AoE. Stunning up to 4 enemies. We can hit multiple targets with this in an 8-meter radius for up to 2 seconds. Could be good, could be death. We don't get another spell until level 4. So what we can do is we could buy this, but I'm not going to because I don't really want this particular spell. I'm actually going to sell this frog meat. I'm going to sell this frog meat because it's pretty common. And I'm going to pick up this spell, Arcane Chords. Now, this is usable at level 4. I will strongly advise that you buy any spells you can that you know are important coming up. So how do I know this is important? Conjure an Arcane Binding to root your target in place for up to 30 seconds. I know that that's a root, and that's going to help me to kill enemies more easily. So I'm going to buy that. I'm just going to stick it in my bag until I can learn it. When I can learn it, I'll right-click it just like we did with the scrolls at the start of the game, and I'll learn my new spell. So now I can head out of here. Now, if we're standing at the little pillar over here, there's where we stood and looked at the boulders and turned in the quest. There's the tunnel. Here's the tower. Right over here, this is how we get off of the caster island. And you'll notice, yes, there's a day-night cycle. And yes, that is actually important. There are certain mobs that only spawn at night. There are more dangerous mobs that tend to come out at night. There are certain quest NPCs and NPCs in general that only come out at night. So you want to pay attention to that. So as we step onto this little shiny blue pad, this will teleport us. And we are now over beside the city. So we can't see it right now because it's dark and this is a really bright area. But if we walk straight forward, this right here will lead us into town. You can see the path. You can kind of see a castle back there, some houses with lights. If we walk over to this other side, we can look down below and we'll see another house over here. But this house on this side, that's the side facing the north, is not so safe. This is one of the first camps in the game. This is the bandit camp. And this is able to be started at around level 3. And you can stay there through around level 7. There's multiple bandit camps in the area. This one, most people like to camp on this side of. Some like to camp on this side of it. It's really good for one group to be there. It can support up to 2 with some downtime. So you might want to start looking for groups there. So how do I find a group? Well, as we go to town, we'll talk about that for a second. How do I find a group? Well, you've got a few different ways. You could type in the OOC, which stands for out of character channel, and say, hey, I'm a level 2 enchanter, right? And I'm looking for group, LFG, and somebody might invite you. You could hit L, and it will bring up a looking for group menu, and you can see who all is looking for group currently. You can turn yourself on as I am now looking for group, and you'll see that our name, JDFLF, is now in the list of people looking for group, okay? If you already are in a group and you would like to find more, you can list your group in the looking for more section by clicking right here and saying, okay, I'm looking for people between level 1 and 5. I want warriors, I want rangers, I want shamans, rogues, and monks. That's what I want for my group, right? And I could put a description in if I wanted to and click OK, and it would list my group as looking for more people. You can have friends in this game. You can type /friend in a person's name and it will send them a friend request, or you can target them and right click and add friend, I think. And you can look up just to see who's online. You can search by level, by class, by race. You can search across zones, and you can search for people that are looking for group. This is all under the social menu by hitting L. So at this point, we've walked into the village of Avelia. The teleporter is right up there where that purple area is to our north. So it's just south of the teleporter. And if we walk right in between these first 2 houses, you're going to see a large conglomerate of people, all happily sitting around this well and a very important early game NPC named the Scavenger. Now, these pop-up messages are for the main storyline of the game that is not really currently in play yet, just so you're aware of what those are. They have a specific name, but we won't talk about them. You'll notice that this person just cast a bunch of buffs on me. They put Grip of the Boulder. I'm going to say thank you right quick. Thanks. And we'll see it right here. Thanks. They put Grip of the Boulder, which gives us strength and stamina increase. They gave us a dexterity and fire resistance increase. They gave us a movement speed and endurance bonus. And they gave us an attack speed haste. That's a very big deal in this game is buffing. Buffing matters a lot, and getting buffs matters a lot. And generally, when you are gathered in a centralized area like this, there will be people that will come by and just buff you to be kind. This game, once again, I will reiterate, is a social MMO, and it very much matters what your interactions are with the community, and your name matters. It's going to get you into and take you out of groups. So if we talk to the Scavenger, we're going to turn in that mysterious letter that we got at the very beginning of the game. This is important because this is how you get all of your initial trade skill tools for free. You don't have to buy them, but it goes beyond that. So when you turn in the first quest, all these new quests will pop up and new skills will be gained. Okay. If we take the first quest, we'll see that, hey, I'm not going to get any experience for this, but I'm going to get a basic pickaxe. This pickaxe has a tool effectiveness of 8. So I'll accept that and I can immediately turn it in. And if we look in our inventory, there's the pickaxe. Now, if I right click this pickaxe, it's not going to sell it. It's going to equip it. But where did it go? It went under the professions tab, in which we now see that we have some professions available. And there's an entire group of equipment just for professions. Okay. So if we take wood cutting, we'll get our first hatchet. If we take harvesting, we'll get our first sickle. If we take skinning, we'll get our first skinning knife. And we've already done mining. So let's go ahead and accept all these real quick. Complete. 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 There's one more of these. It's right here, the Art of Scavenging. We'll accept this one. This is a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and complete this. And now we can equip all of these. So let's equip the axe. Let's equip the sickle. Let's equip the skinning knife. What we don't have at the moment are a fishing spear, a fishing rod, and a crafting tool. Okay, those are not going to come from this gentleman. But we also got a schematic for a burlap bandage pattern. So we're going to right-click this. We're going to learn it. Okay. Now, with that done, he now has a large list of quests. Do you have to do these? No, you don't have to do any quests. Quests are not how we level in this game. They are a way to receive a reward. So odds and ends. He wants me to get metal bolts, a handsaw, and a rusted longsword. This is kind of along the scavenger theme. Go find things, scavenge for it, look around the town. This one actually does reward some experience, but it also rewards you with some early game coin for paying for your skills and whatnot. So we'll accept that one. A brush with ambition. He gives you some flavor text and some storyline. We're not going to read through it. But if you complete this one, he's going to give you a scavenger's bag. That would be our second bag. And this one happens to have 8 slots. Our current bag has 10 slots. This bag weighs 4 pounds. This bag weighs half a pound with 8 slots. That's big. Okay, we want to do this. Okay, and then he says mining. All right, he wants us to go out and bring back 3 chunks of Asherite ore. We'll get no experience, but we'll get coin. Okay, I'll take it. Same thing, let's do it for harvesting. We'll do it for wood cutting. We'll accept it for skinning. Each of these quests is a first step in a quest line that's going to allow us to upgrade all of these tools. Okay, now he tells us here that he wants us, this is a different quest, this is part of the scavenger's path, and here he wants you to find certain things. So we're going to click accept on this, and then salvaging. Salvaging is going to once again give us another tool. We're going to accept this. This tool is the one that's a little bit different because it doesn't go into our toolkit right here like the other tools have. It's a schematic. What does a schematic do? Well, if we click on our trades and we click right here, we have a schematic bag. This is the number of recipes your character can learn. And in here we have a schematic for a burlap bandage, salvaging tools, and a fox fur paintbrush. One of the quests wants us to bring back a fox fur paintbrush. Okay, so what the schematics he just gave us do is if we come to this scavenging workbench and right click it, we can use these schematics in here. So for example, when I get ready to make the fox fur paintbrush, we can see I need a young foxtail, a sturdy stick, and an emerald spider silk, and I'll be able to create this fox fur paintbrush. The other thing that I could do is I could take burlap bandages. I can make them from scraps of burlap cloth. And this is how trade skills work in this game. This is a basic introduction to a trade skill. So he's got some burlap cloth right here. I think it takes 2 each, if I remember right. And we currently have no coins, so we're not going to buy anything from him. Now, there are other quests in the town that you might want to pick up. I'm not going to show you all of them, but for example, if you jump down this well, there's a guy down here. He wants you to go collect some rat tails. Okay? He'll give you 300 XP if you go get some rat tails. This is one of the few quests that does give experience. So there are certain quests that you're going to want to look around for and find. But to find those quests, you're going to need to interact with these NPCs and go see if they're telling you anything. Some of them are going to start quest lines that lead to very powerful items, and they may take a while to complete. But if you aren't interacting and aren't looking around, you're not going to find them. So what else is in the town? This building right back here, this is our bank. And I'll tell you now that when you open your bank, it's going to be like, well, okay, I can store a little bit of stuff. Here's the trick. Each of these slots can have a bag put into it. That being said, you have 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 24 slots. So you could put 10 slot backpacks in there and get 240 slots of inventory in your bank. The largest container that I know of right now is a 24 slot backpack, and I think there is a 20 slot box. But those take very high trade skill levels to unlock. So you can store money in there so that when you die, you don't drop all your coin. Items, if you want to stockpile trade skill items, or just loot, whatever you want to put there. Now we have a tavern here. The tavern gentleman will offer an entire new line of trade skill quests. This is to learn about cooking and brewing. If you go in this building over here, you will get some blacksmithing quests. Back behind us, behind the tavern, if you go in this building right here, you will learn about tailoring, leatherworking, and outfitting. This little house right here happens to be empty, but oftentimes there will be a chest that spawns right back in this corner that you can sometimes loot to get some food out of. Now, the quest that asks us odds and ends to find a handful of metal bolts and a handsaw, those are found in some of the houses in random chests that may spawn. If we continue to swing out past the tailor shop, we're going to find that there's a river over here. There's a warrior training area. There is a stable. And then right here, this building is a woodworker shop. So if you're interested in starting to do carpentry, you can go there. Now, the rogue starting area happens to be down this road in a cave at the end of this road. The priest starting area happens to be, and the paladin, happens to be up this ramp at this temple. And if we go up the ramp to the temple, anyone can do this. There is a priest standing up here who will actually give us a quest. So we'll run over here. And we will pick up this quest. Now, right now, swimming is not implemented in the game. It is coming in the next patch or two. So currently, you can walk on water. You are like Jesus, and you can walk on water. use that to your advantage. Now, directly down, so we've got rogues starting just on the other side of this building down at the cave. We've got priests and paladins starting here. If we drop down this hill, this is the ranger starting area. And there is a huntress here who will give you some more quests. Nothing goes to waste. And Night Warden. So there are a lot of quests to get you started in the game. And there are a lot of quests spread out through the game. But it is not the leveling roller coaster like most MMOs. Remember, warriors start over there. So I've shown you where all of the int casters, necro, mage, or summoner, sorry, necro, summoner, wizard, and enchanter, they all start on the island. I've shown you where priests, paladins, rangers, and rogues start. We're going to head this way. There is another armor, actually this is a weapon shop right here. And there's another quest in here in which you are told to get a pair of fist weapons off of this guy and go kill some Gadais. That quest will continue on. One of the things that I want you to take note of on these merchants is that there are multiple tabs of gear available. So for example, on tab 1, there's an axe here for 14 silver that does 4 damage with a 2 delay. On the next tab, there's an axe for 3 gold that does 8 damage, 2 delay. And on the third tab, there is one that does 12 damage, 2 delay for 32 gold. There are also drops in the world off of mobs that are equivalent to this, and there are people who can craft items that are equivalent to this. Now, many of these houses are currently empty. They have begun decorating them, but some of them do have those little box spawns, like I showed in the house that has the food. Not all of them do, but you're going to want to look around and explore your environment, and for more reasons than one. I'll show you in a bit what I mean by that. So this house right here is where you come if you want to learn jewel crafting. There's a jewel crafter right there. And the artificer will actually give you a bunch of trade skill quests to unlock these skills for jewel crafting. If we continue to head west in town, you will come across a couple of other things. So the courier will give you some quests for delivery. I don't think that there is anything in this house, but it's been a while since I've been in here, so let's look. Yeah, there's nothing in this one. This is for later. To the right of this is the monk starting area. So now you know where monks begin. And if we continue down the path heading south, this leads us to the bridge out of town. And this is where a lot of groups like to meet up. So I showed you guys where the bandits were a few moments ago. That's where you can start camping at around level 3 and probably stay there up through 6 or 7. But just outside of town, just across this bridge, and you can see a lot of people running across it right now, there are a couple of important things. There's a cooking fire. Now, there is a house back in town where there's a cooking fire and a brewing station that we'll talk about in a minute. But just past this cooking fire, this ominous purple area, and up on this hill, there are a bunch of skeletons that spawn here. And these are higher level skeletons where people like to come in groups starting at around level 4 to 5, and they'll stay there till around level 8. So now you know where 2 starting camps are. You know where the bandits are, and you know where the skeletons are. Let's run back into town for just a moment. I've shown you where the monks start off up on this hill. And there are quests up in each of the class starting areas. There are quests available for the class, as well as some quests that are available to the general public. So if we run over to this little hill, there are also guards. And if you are being attacked by enemies and run to the guards will kill it for you. So there's Grandmaster Koman and all the monks. If we continue heading north from the monk area, there's a little ramp right here. You can't see anything because it's so dark. By the way, you want to keep your torch. If I take off right now, I can see enemies around me. But if I take off this torch, I can't see spit. I can't see enemies. I can barely see myself. It's dark. You can turn your gamma up and you will be able to see the world a bit better. But the fact that you can't see enemies means you also can't see harvesting nodes or ground drops. So keep that in mind. Light sources matter, and they're going to matter more as we go. But if you run this direction to the north, you'll come across 2 stone pillars. This leads into the shaman starting area. So shamans start out here on this stone bridge area. So if you're a shaman, this is how you get to town. Okay, right there's all the shaman starting area. You can see people running around. And there are tons of mobs to kill in the newbie area. Now, what's important to take account of here in the early game is everything drops loot. And most things drop loot that somebody wants. You may not want it, but somebody probably wants it. So let's give an example. If I were to kill this crumbling skeleton, you'll notice he's blue con. He's safe to kill. Let's go ahead and dot him up. Hit him with a nuke. Start stabbing him. Hit him with another nuke here. There we go. If we loot him, not only are we going to get some coins because he's a humanoid, he has a chance to drop weapons and armor that I might want, but he also drops these bone fragments. Bone fragments are important for multiple reasons. They're used in trade skills, but they're also used by necromancers to summon their pets. Now, what about rats? We've got a quest for rat tails, but there's another reason rats are important. Let's go ahead and kill a rat right quick. When we loot the rat, we got some general junk, but we could have gotten other things. We could have gotten lots of different loot off of this rat. But now we'll notice that the cursor becomes a knife. Right click to begin skinning. Now this little bar is going to pop up, and I think right now it takes around 15 seconds, maybe 20 to skin something. As the effectiveness of your tool goes up, the speed at which you can do this goes up. As your skill goes up, the quality and in some cases the quantity of what you will get goes up. So by skinning this rat, we just got a tattered pelt. Tattered pelts are used in outfitting and in leatherworking, and people will buy them from you. So this is a good way for new players to begin earning money, is farming bone chips, farming tattered pelts, or you can use them for yourself to do trade skills and things of that nature. Some enemies are social. Let's show an experiment of that. So we've got a yellowback hornet here and one here. If I attack the one on the left, the one on the right is going to attack me as well. Watch. Oh, Lord, this is probably going to get me killed. So here's the thing, that cross-pollinate, oh, it just healed. You need to pay attention to when enemies have skills like that could cost you your life. Now I'm going to tab between them, and I'm going to put a dot on each one so that I'm killing them at the same time. We killed one. Will we kill the other? Yeah, who knows? I think we'll be okay. Oh, he's healing. Oh, we got him before he could heal. Nice. So now I can loot these guys. And we got some vendor loot off that one. And we got some vendor loot off this one. This is a trade resource, beeswax. Here's the funny thing. There are many recipes that use beeswax, so you know you can come and farm it. But you can also just buy it off of a vendor in town. Be aware of this. So some enemies you can skin, some enemies you cannot. If it looks, you cannot skin humans right now. Maybe someday, but not right now. All right. So what else do we need to look at out here? Let's go look at the Dire Lord starting area. So to give you a frame of reference of where we are right now, as we've kind of been rolling through the forest here, this little light you see is town. There's a guard standing just to the right. This is the same entrance that we went through a minute ago when we jumped off the ledge above me from the caster area. So the caster area teleporter is just above me. So going south led us into town. So now we're going to go north, and we're going to walk right past the bandits and thugs house that I showed you guys a moment ago. And it'll look very different during the daytime and when it's not raining, by the way. But right over here, this is the bandit thug hill that most new players start out fighting bandits and thugs on. So just to my right, you can see the camp. Let's talk about this camp for a second, because this one's important. There's a burglar's corpse right here. Somebody's been hunting these. I'm going to scoot up close. So right here, we can see that there's a thug. If I tab, try to get this guy targeted. So there's an Asherite ore node over there that we can harvest for Asherite ore. But notice something special about this thug's target frame. You see this little marker? Some people will call this a chevron. Notice how the small duskbat does not have one. The small duskbat is white to me. It's at the same level as me. The thug is yellow. Even if this was white to me, I could not kill this thug by myself. This little marker, this chevron, indicates that this is a elite mob or a group-based mob. It is far stronger than it looks. It will wreck you. You need to fight these in groups. So you need to be on the lookout for this little marker when you're targeting things, because if you attack that, you're going to have a bad time by yourself. However, if you attack that with a group, you're going to have a great time, because that's some of the best experience in the game. So thugs and bandits. Here's a shadowy thug. That's an even stronger version of a thug. If we continue running up this hill to the north, we're going to go to the Dire Lord starting area. So we'll head up here right quick. Now, as you run around and collect things, sometimes you're going to want to go, oh, that's a bad guy. Okay, we got to fight him. He's yellow. We might win this, we might not. We're going to try to nuke him. He resisted our dot. He's resisting everything because he's a higher level than us. This could be a challenging fight. All right, so now all we can do at this point is just nuke. Nuke and pray. Fortunately, we do have a no mana cost nuke, but it's not going to do us much good. He's going to beat us. Now, we could take off running and hope for the best. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stand my ground and die because it's okay. So we're near death. Release our soul. We're bleeding. You can crawl. If you crawl, it makes you bleed faster. Just be aware of this. If you start crawling away, you're going to bleed faster than otherwise. We're dead. All right, let's release. We're going to go back. Okay, so we're back at our starting area. When you die, notice that your HP and your mana are empty. Don't die and immediately go attack something else. Sit down for a minute. Recover your health and your mana, because when your health drops below 20%, you begin to run more slowly, and then things can kill you. Another pro tip for you. If you're in a group with a tank, tank's job is to hold aggro. Your job is not, if you're not the tank. Your job is either to do DPS, heal, or do utility work. If a mob monster happens to start attacking you, don't run around in circles from the tank. It's not going to do you any good. Stand by the tank. Let the tank get the mob off of you. Now, on occasion, kiting can pay off, but most of the time it just means that the monster is going to stay on you longer than it would because the tank can't hit it. All right, so now that it's daytime, see, this guy's getting chased by thugs. He's running for his life. Now that it's daytime, let's run back over here. We're going past the bandit camp again, and we're going to head up the hill to the Dire Lord area, or at least we're going to attempt to again so that we can show that off. And beyond that, I've explained most things that will get you started in the game. So what would we do from this point? Well, from this point, we would begin grinding levels. We would start making friends. We would start looking for better gear. There are lots of variants of gear in the game. Many of the items will drop off of enemies. You're going to want to be aware of the group you're in and what their loot policy is going to be. Some groups are going to leave the loot on free-for-all. People can just pick up what they want when they want. You know, some people are going to be greedy. Some people are not. Most people in the community right now are being very cool with one another, and they're having a good time, and they're more than willing to give you what you need. That's not always going to be the case, and so you need to be aware of what the loot rules for the group you are in are. Now, you can change loot at any time that you're in a group if you're the group leader by typing loot mode. Help loot mode. /help space, whatever you want, will tell you the commands. So loot mode can be used to set loot to free-for-all, round robin, or master looter. They have been discussing introducing a need before greed loot option, but it is not in the game yet. So here we have some wild herbs. We couldn't harvest these earlier. Now that we have harvesting tools, we can. Just like we can do skinning, we can now come over here and harvest wild herbs. Wild herbs, I can't speak. Wild herbs, for the most part, produce ingredients for cooking and alchemy. So if we wait our 15 to 20 seconds for this to wind down, we will get some serpent leaf. All right. Now the Dire Lord starting area is right up here. In this cave right over here is where the Dire Lords begin. Now, we saw one of these Forest Foragers over in the caster area. He was yellow, if you remember. This one's blue. These are very good monsters to kill in the early game. The reason being is they are humanoids. They drop coin. They can drop equipment. But they can also drop something even more important. They can drop bags. So he's fearful. He's running away. We killed him. He did not drop me a bag, but we got some coins off of him and a bag of scraps. There's some jute right here. Jute is very important for harvesting if you want to do tailoring or outfitting. And I think it gets used in some leatherworking recipes as well. So inside of here is the Dark Lord area, and there are quests. All right. So we've kind of learned where all classes start. We've looked at how to work with combat, and we've looked at doing a little bit of some of the trade skill stuff. I'm going to go back, but I don't want to walk all the way back. So I'm going to use /stuck. Now, /stuck is a command that is being used a lot in the game right now. It will not be here always, but for right now, you can /stuck and teleport directly back to your bind point. That's important to note. It's a way to fast travel. Caster classes, like the Enchanter, do get a spell, I think it's around level 15, called Gate, and it will allow you to teleport around. Let's take a look at a more advanced character for just a moment, because we are coming up on the end of the hour, And I do want to show some other things with this character. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to camp out right quick, and I'll bring you guys back when I switch to a higher level enchanter. So I'll be right back. Okay, so what does a higher level character look like? So this is my level 22 enchanter. And we'll take a look at the gear first. So some of this gear we've found, some of it we've crafted. There's an assortment of gear going here. So for example, these rough spun gloves, these are gloves that dropped off of an enemy and we've looted it. And it just gives armor. But then here's a Warden's Lost Ring. This is a ground drop that can be found in a dungeon. It gives 2 stamina, 3 hit rating, 10 block. It's really a tank ring, but I'm wearing it because the 2 stamina gives us HP, hit points, right? This is a robe that I crafted. Now this robe happens to give +2 constitution because I used a special dust on it to allow it to give stats. There are dusts for each stat in the game. And I did this mostly as an experiment, just kind of playing around with things. This Cotton Scholar's Shawl is another piece of crafted gear that I made. I also crafted these Wolfang earrings via jewel crafting. The relic is another ground drop that I found. I did craft this bone ring. Excuse me. And I looted the wizard stave. So we've got some interesting pieces of equipment at least, okay? Now, we've also got a lot more inventory space. If you look, I've got bags on this character, and these bags are kind of neat because this is a 14-slot bag that I found sitting on the ground. These bags I crafted, and these are 8 slots, but along with being 8 slots, they increase our total carry capacity by +10 pounds each, okay? And we didn't really go too much into foods other than me telling you you need them. You can make foods that give stats. So, for example, this Deicide Delight gives +2 agility for 45 minutes, and it increases my hunger. This Goblin Punch increases my thirst substantially, but on top of that, it gives a 2% movement speed buff while active, so I can run faster. You'll notice we now have a lot of skills down on the bars, and you know, there's even more skills that I don't have on the bar inside of my codex right now. Enchanters are a utility class, so we do a lot of different things. So one of the things that I can do, for example, is all these people out here, I can buff everyone's charisma by 2. So we'll cast this. Everybody out here just got the buff. Why do they want charisma? Well, charisma gives you better prices with vendors and it increases your reputation gains. For me, it's a base part of my spells for doing mesmerizes and other things. But one of the more important spells from an enchanter would be something like this, Whisper of Morale. Enchant the mind of your target with Whispers of Morale, increasing their mana regeneration rate by 3. Understand that that doesn't seem like much, but in the beginning, your mana regeneration rate is 0. At level 10, you get your first version of this, which allows mana regeneration rate to become 1. And at level 20, it becomes 3. And it will continue to scale throughout the game. So people very much like when I cast a spell on them, especially, say, a healer who wants their mana to come back faster. So we'll give this little heals. And you can see that my buffs are indicated once again by the yellow borders. So I know that my buff is on this person. Other people can buff you, and you can exchange buffs with one another. So it's great. Now, you remember that I said that your bank can get very large. There are 24 slots. I have boxes in my bank. These are 16 slot boxes. These are 12s. And if I hit B to open all bags, boom, we've got a lot of stuff in the bank. A lot of this stuff is various trade skill stuff. So we have things like Asterium bars for doing various metal crafts. Could be for blacksmithing, armor smithing, weaponsmithing. We have all kinds of raw ingredients for crafting foods. We have tattered leather and spider silk and cloth laying around here that we could do tailoring and outfitting and leather working with. So just a ton of stuff. But I've also got a bunch of junk weapons that I tend to give away to new players and other loot that I've gotten out of dungeons that I tend to give away to guild members. So you can get plenty of storage space if you start collecting goods for boxes or bags. And most people in the community will craft them for you if you bring them the materials. So what do you do at this point? Well, there's a lot of things to do. For the most part, as with any MMO, you're going to be working on advancing your character, whether that be through questing, grinding, killing mobs in a camp, exploration and killing, going out and bettering your gear, working on your trade skills. It's really up to you. This is very much a sandbox MMO, and it's still very much in early access. It's still very much in early development, but it is a fantastic game. They have done a fantastic job with it. And I do intend to put out a lot more content surrounding this game and giving more tips and tricks and teaching people how to do things. That being said, I live stream this game almost every day on Twitch TV/JDon77. So stop by and say what's up, ask any questions you have, leave questions down below in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. Join the Discord, get involved in this community. Right now, if you go and you pay $50, I believe it is, for the supporter pack, like I said earlier, you gain access to the testing session that lasts from right now until December when EA begins. You get access from EA until the game launches, and you get a copy of the game going forward. So you'll get to play from now on. But on top of that, you get a buddy key to share with a friend. For 25 bucks if you split it with your buddy, absolutely worth it. This game is not vaporware. This game is not a scam. The supporter packs are not a shill. I give 100% recommendation. If you like MMOs, especially classic MMOs like EverQuest, Dark Age of Camelot, Asheron's Call, all the stuff from back in the day, Shadowbane, this is a game you're going to enjoy. They're doing it the right way. Don't come into this game expecting WoW. Don't come into this game wanting WoW, or any modern MMO for that matter. It's not that. It's not going to be that. Understand that straight up. That's it for me, boys and girls. This is a first look at Pantheon and just me kind of showing you guys around the game. We'll call this one, it's less of a lot of playing and more of a lot of explaining, I know, but I wanted to just show everybody, what's it about? Where do we start? How do we get around? What do we do? And answer some of those questions that new players might have. There are a lot more tips and tricks that I can give, and I'm going to make a separate video discussing tips and tricks for new players that I'll probably release next week on Friday as a part of a first look series for this game, because we can't cover it all in an hour. There's just too much. But the last thing that I'm going to show you, so the well is right here. The bank is over there. The tavern is right here, okay? Just outside the tavern, here's the tailor shop. If you come to this little house right here, the priest is up there, the ranger's over there, but this little house is a place where you can come in town and you can do cooking right here and you can do brewing right here. But you'll need to get the appropriate crafting pieces either by purchase or by doing the quest from the tavern keeper. Boys and girls, I hope you all have enjoyed it. If you liked it, like it. If you'd like to see more like it, click that subscribe button, bell icon for notifications. And remember, as I said earlier, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, where you would like to see next. Stop by the live stream. Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Y'all be good to one another. Laters.